Excuse me, young lady. Can you leave? This isn't a place for selfies, said the salesman, his tone drenched in sarcasm. Everyone in the dealership turned to look. At the center of the room stood Nia Jackson, a 19-year-old black girl, dressed in a casual but neat outfit, jeans, a hoodie, and clean sneakers. She had walked in full of excitement, hoping to look at some luxury cars for her upcoming birthday. What she got instead was humiliation. Before she could even open her mouth to speak, the staff judged her. One receptionist whispered under her breath, "Probably just here to make TikToks." Another laughed quietly, watching Nia approach the Rolls-Royce section. The salesman, who had been helping an older couple moments before, turned all his attention to Nia. Not to help, but to embarrass. "I'm just looking," Nia replied politely, trying to keep her voice steady despite the stares. "Well, these cars aren't for looking. They're for buying," he snapped, crossing his arms. "And clearly you're in the wrong place." Nia felt her cheeks flush. She wasn't dressed in designer clothes, she wasn't flashy, and she didn't come in with an entourage. But she also didn't expect such bold discrimination. The stares felt like arrows. One woman chuckled as if it were all a joke. Nia took a deep breath and turned to walk out. No words, no drama. Just quiet pain. Outside, she stood for a moment, blinking back tears. This wasn't the first time someone had made assumptions about her. But today hurt differently. Today, she was just a girl who wanted to dream a little. And they crushed that dream before it even began. But what the staff didn't know was who Nia really was. Back at the Jackson family estate, an enormous mansion nestled in the green hills just outside the city, Nia was unusually quiet. She sat at the edge of her bed, still replaying the moment she was kicked out. Her father, Darius Jackson, had just returned from a board meeting and immediately noticed something was wrong. "Nia?" he said softly as he knocked on her door. "You okay?" She hesitated, then nodded. "I'm fine, Dad." But he knew better. He stepped into the room, took one look at her expression, and sat beside her. "What happened?" he asked gently, and then she told him, word for word, from the moment she walked in to the way they laughed at her, how they assumed she didn't belong, and how they kicked her out without giving her a chance. Darius sat in silence for a moment, his hands clasped together, his face calm, but inside, his blood was boiling. Not because they mistreated his daughter, but because they judged her character without even knowing her. "Do you know what the saddest part is, Dad?" Nia said quietly. "I didn't want to buy anything. I just wanted to dream. But they made me feel small." Darius stood up slowly. He picked up his phone. "Small," he repeated. "No one makes my daughter feel small." He dialed a number, spoke briefly, then turned to her with a faint smile. "I need you to get dressed tomorrow. Something elegant. We've got a visit to make." The next day, around noon, the dealership was as busy as ever. Music played softly in the background. Salesmen chatted casually, sipping coffee and discussing new luxury arrivals. Then suddenly, all conversation stopped. A deep, majestic engine roar echoed from the driveway. Employees turned to see a convoy of 4 black luxury cars rolling in. 2 Bentleys, a Maybach, and finally, a black-on-black Rolls-Royce Phantom shining like a diamond under the sun. The doors of the Rolls-Royce opened, and out stepped Darius Jackson in a custom black suit, followed by Nia, graceful, radiant, wearing a classy white dress that shimmered in the light. Gasps echoed around the dealership. The same salesman who had kicked Nia out turned pale. The manager rushed forward, already breaking into a nervous sweat. Darius walked in like royalty, calm, confident, powerful. "Good afternoon," he said, scanning the room with sharp eyes. "Yesterday, my daughter came here, and you treated her like trash. You didn't ask her name. You didn't listen to her words. You judged her skin, her clothes, her presence. Today, we're here to make things right. Silence. Not one staff member dared to speak. Darius turned to the salesman, the same man who had insulted Naya. You? What's the most expensive car you have? The Phantom. The one you arrived in, sir, he stammered. Wrong, Darius said. The most expensive thing here isn't a car, it's respect. And clearly you don't sell that. He walked up to the front desk and pulled out his checkbook. We'll take 2 Phantoms. One for me, one for my daughter. Everyone froze. The manager nearly dropped his tablet. Nia just stared at her father, her heart pounding. She hadn't expected this. But her father wasn't done. And I want it written in your records, he added, that you lost one of the biggest deals of your life yesterday because you couldn't look past your own prejudice. Get out! We don't serve people like you here! The loud voice echoed through the luxurious car showroom as the entire staff turned to look. Nia Jackson, a confident and well-dressed black teenager, stood frozen near the entrance of the dealership, clutching her handbag tightly. She had just stepped in with excitement to explore luxury cars, unaware that her presence would spark such prejudice. A middle-aged salesman, without even asking what she needed, had judged her appearance and dismissed her like she was nothing. Despite her calm demeanor and respectful tone, she was humiliated, mocked with sneers and murmurs by other employees. One whispered, probably looking to take selfies with the cars, while another chuckled. She clearly can't afford to. Breathe in here. Nia's cheeks burned with shame and anger, but she didn't retaliate. Instead, she held her head high, gave one last disappointed look at the staff, and walked out silently. What they didn't know was that Nia wasn't just anyone. She was the daughter of one of the richest men in the country. That night, Nia sat silently at the dinner table in her family's grand estate, still haunted by the sting of what happened. Her father, Darius Jackson, a global tech billionaire known for his humility and love for his daughter, noticed her unusual quietness. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" he asked gently. Nia hesitated, then told him everything, how she was treated, like dirt just because of the color of her skin, and how they didn't even ask who she was. Darius listened quietly, his jaw tightening as his daughter's voice trembled. "They laughed at me, Daddy. They looked at me like I was worthless." He didn't get angry. Instead, a slow smile crept across his face. "Well," he said calmly, "maybe it's time we show them who you really are." Without another word, he made a phone call. Nia didn't ask questions, but the next morning, her father was already dressed in his best black suit, ready to change the story. By noon the next day, the car dealership was bustling with activity. Staff members laughed over coffee, customers admired vehicles, and everything seemed normal, until the sound of roaring engines filled the air. Heads turned. A convoy of luxury cars rolled into the dealership's front driveway. At the center of it all, a jet-black Rolls-Royce Phantom with a customized license plate that read Jackson 1 pulled up slowly. The door opened, and out stepped Darius Jackson, followed by his daughter Nia, both dressed in elegance and pride. The same salesman who had insulted Nia the previous day stood frozen in shock, his jaw hanging open. "Is this the place that refused to serve my daughter yesterday?" Darius asked, his voice calm but commanding. The entire dealership fell, silent. No one dared answer. He continued. "She came in here with genuine interest in your cars, and you chose to judge her character based on appearance. Today we're here to make a purchase, but not just any car. I want your most expensive model for my daughter." Murmurs swept through the staff. The manager came rushing out, stuttering apologies, but Darius raised a hand. "This isn't just about a car. This is about respect." As paperwork was being signed and the showroom was buzzing with sudden hospitality, Darius made sure the moment left an imprint. "Let this be a lesson," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. Never judge someone by the way they look. You never know who you're speaking to, or the journey they've been on. He then turned to Nia and handed her the keys. The entire staff watched in silence as she took a seat inside the brand-new Rolls-Royce, a proud smile on her face, the same face they had once mocked. The salesman who had kicked her out earlier approached nervously, trying to apologize. Nia looked him straight in the eye and said, "You could have treated me with kindness. It costs nothing." And with that, the car pulled away slowly, leaving behind stunned faces and a powerful reminder. That day, Nia wasn't just a billionaire's daughter. She became a symbol of strength, dignity, and quiet revenge. And as the video of the dramatic incident went viral, people across the world praised her for standing tall in the face of discrimination and praised her father for showing that real power is used to uplift, not destroy. The dealership learned its lesson the hard way, and Nia's story became an inspiration to millions. As Nia and her father drove away, the city seemed to pause for a moment, wrapped in the quiet message their presence had just delivered. Social. Media exploded within hours, with bystanders and onlookers uploading clips of the event. Headlines read, "Billionaire's daughter teaches car dealership a powerful lesson on respect." Messages of support flooded in from around the world. Young girls, especially black girls, saw Nia as a role model, someone who turned pain into purpose without raising her voice. Influencers, news anchors, and celebrities shared her story, calling it a modern-day reminder of grace under fire. The dealership, on the other hand, faced massive backlash, with calls for accountability and boycotts trending online. But for Nia, it wasn't about revenge. It was about dignity. That one moment of injustice sparked a wave of awareness and forced people to look at their own biases. She didn't just walk back into that dealership with a billionaire, she walked back, in with pride, proving to the world that respect is not earned by wealth, but deserved by every human being, regardless of how they look.